Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started just in the interest of time, since we're only presenting for about 20 minutes, and then there'll be about a 5 to 10 minute Q&A after. I just want to thank everybody for jumping on today and for your dedication and commitment to this whole continuity of education through the virtual/online format that we're moving towards now in the face of the corona pandemic. So I just want to take the first couple of seconds of this just to put out a huge thanks to everybody that's on the call right now for your work and your dedication. I have two little ones at home, so I know that it's a little crazy to work at home, especially if you have kids, dogs, cats, animals, whatever, running around. So just wanted to throw out a thanks and appreciation for all the work that we do as educators, and for you taking the time to jump on with us today. So my name's Charlie Travato. I'll go into a little bit more background on one of the slides coming up, but I'm a professional development specialist at Lincoln Intermediate Unit. Today's webinar series is the face-to-face to online videos series. So we're going to talk about a couple of different platforms slash screencasting avenues that you can kind of go down as you start to convert your face-to-face instruction to online instruction in terms of your videos. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank Nicole Bond, who is sitting on here with me, who's going to be kind of monitoring some of the Q&A. She's also going to be recording our session today as well. So she'll kind of be my backhand moderator. But I do want to thank our team. This has been a heavy lift across multiple divisions over the last few weeks within our organization. Everyone from our ed tech services team to special education team, to all the folks that are with me in ed services. So just throwing out a huge thank that this whole LearnOn site has been a huge lift, but it's been a huge value add across our 3-county footprint, and actually not just across the state, but also across the country. There's been some national attention on this site as well. So just want to really briefly go over just some Zoom webinar meeting norms. So the chat, microphone, and camera have been disabled due to the large size of the attendees in the group. I'm anticipating a couple more folks jumping on, but we have right around 60 folks that are on right now with us. So the chat, microphone, and camera have been disabled at this time. What I am going to ask is that you use the Q&A to post questions, but remember that the responses will be visible to everybody as you put anything in the Q&A section. And then feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to use your microphone. Again, I will open up for Q&A towards the end of our presentation, but then I will also even go a step further and offer, if folks are willing to stick around for a little bit after this. We're going to jump off since there's another webinar on here around 2 o'clock, but I'm going to open up my personal Zoom room if folks have questions. So I'll give you the link to that in just the next couple of slides. And then, of course, just a reminder, don't leave before the Act 48 credit link is shared with you for completion. So please, please, please make sure that you're filling out that Act 48 evaluation / credit link towards the end. You will be prompted as you exit the webinar to make sure that you do fill that out so you do get your Act 48 hours, and we can report that for you and let your district know that you've been on this webinar today. So there are some resources that we have here. Again, I just made note of the Act 48 credit that you're going to be redirected after you complete this webinar and any subsequent webinars following this. You're going to complete the form. You do need to include your PPID in order to receive Act 48 credit through PDE. And this is, again, only for Pennsylvania educators that are holding PPID numbers. We are archiving our webinars, and that link can be found here, bit.ly/LIU LearnOn recordings. So once this session is over, we're going to make sure that it gets archived for you. So if you do need to go back and reference anything that was in this particular webinar, you can certainly do that. And then, of course, our resource site, which I'm sure everybody's been to. You've probably either had this shared with you from someone on our team, through Facebook, other social media means, and then even your district. But just remember learnon.iu12.org if you are interested in grabbing anything else from our resource site. So as we kind of navigate into this new realm of what education looks like within not just the Commonwealth, but across the country right now, you know, there is some expectations that are changing for online learning. So when we think about our continuity of education and the plans that your districts are putting together right now, Please be cognizant that these expectations are going to be communicated to you from your district, but there is going to be definitely some changing expectations as we move into online learning. So again, it's great that everybody's here today so we can get a little bit more feel for how we can be more comfortable transitioning from face-to-face to an online format. I also wanted to make sure that everybody understands FAPE, which is our free appropriate public education. And this really does apply to all online instruction as well as face-to-face instruction. So again, if a school provides educational services to the general education population, the school must ensure that students with disabilities have equal access to the same opportunities. And this also goes for not just special ed, but this goes for our most vulnerable population or our most at-risk population or disenfranchised populations, those that don't have means for internet connectivity or devices as well. So we're kind of keeping this in the back of our mind. Even though we hear FAPE as part of kind of that umbrella of special ed, it also has to do with making sure that those folks that are more marginalized, that don't have the resources or those means, that we're still be able to provide a free and appropriate public education to them. So again, less is more. We want to make sure that we're prioritizing and balancing. When we're looking at kind of moving or migrating to online learning, it's really important that we are showing our face. When we think about the social emotional piece, our video should be on when we're connecting with our students so they know that we're there, we're live in person and can answer their questions. Our rule of thumb / best practice has been to limit the length of your webinars or your lectures online to no more than just about 6 minutes. I can tell you from being a former high school teacher that if I went over 6 to 8 minutes, my students completely checked out at that point. So just keep that in mind, that we can find a really great 15-minute YouTube video and we think it's the B's and E's, but our students are going to check out pretty quickly if we are asking them to engage in a video that's that long. And we also want to make sure that we're clear. We want to make sure that we're stating our objectives and expectations, identifying time to complete the task, and organizing and sequencing any of our instructions for our students. So our webinar outcomes for today, we want to make sure that we're becoming familiar with some of the free video tools and platforms for educators to continue to build their repository content for continuity of instruction as we move from face-to-face to online in terms of our instruction. Another outcome is that we want to make sure that we understand the functionality of each tool that we're going to discuss today, and that we can also use these tools to help transition from face-to-face to online instruction. Again, I mentioned my name's Charlie Travato. My email address is there, cjtravato@iu12.org. I am a professional development specialist in the Ed Services division, and our vision in our division is to develop expertise and deliver change to our customers. So please feel free at the bottom left-hand portion of this slide. I will ask if you are interested, you're more than welcome to join me after in my personal Zoom room. So I'll make sure that Nicole throws that in the chat as well. So she has that. She'll make sure that that's in there for everybody if you're interested in continuing discussion or continuing question and answer afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to present 3 specific platforms / tools that can help us migrate from face-to-face to video instruction online. And the first one is actually EdPuzzle. I used EdPuzzle when I was in the classroom. I actually found it to be extremely helpful when I was actually migrating from more traditional education to more of a flipped classroom. And I think this is a great time for us to kind of pause and have that discussion. I was just meeting with the school today, and this whole notion of flipped instruction, or this quasi-flipped instruction, since we're now all online, we can really utilize a platform like EdPuzzle. And EdPuzzle is really interesting because there are a couple of different pieces within EdPuzzle that we can really capitalize on, and I think it's important for us to have that conversation around that today. So EdPuzzle is a free site for teachers. It allows you to turn lectures into videos that provide students with the opportunity for formative assessment and evaluation of presented content. And this can be done through a couple of different means. We can do this through multiple choice format. We can also do this through open-ended format as well. And these multiple choice questions can be graded in real time. So when we think about assessment and evaluation, and we want to get that formative feedback to us right away. Are our kids engaged? Are they actually understanding the content that we're presenting through this platform? We can actually engage our students in some multiple choice questions that are actually going to be graded for us in real time, so we can log into EdPuzzle at any time and say, okay, did our kids get this or did we not? Can we move on, or do we need to go back and reteach? And I'll just show you some of those functionalities in just a couple of seconds. But this is great for creating multiple classes. We can actually import classes through Google Classroom. So if you're a Google Classroom whiz, or you're just starting out with Google Classroom, you can actually import all of your students into EdPuzzle, and I'll show you a couple of screenshots that can help you with that. You can also sign students up via a code or an email invitation. You can do a couple of different things. You can find created content that you can repurpose and use within the confines of the site. You can pull from different platforms such as YouTube or Khan Academy, TED Talks, etc., where you can actually start to pull those videos that have been uploaded to the internet, but now you can embed some of those questions. Or you can take a completely different route and use two of the other tools that we're going to talk about today, Screencast-O-Matic or Screencast-O-Matic, to actually record yourself and your screen and your content, upload that to EdPuzzle, and actually create questions around your own videos. So the biggest piece here is that we want to remember student accountability. So one of the biggest ways that we can hold students accountable using EdPuzzle is actually through that formative assessment feature. We also want to be thinking about our students' comprehension. And I mentioned before, when we do these formative assessments, we want to see, do the kids get it, and we can move on and provide maybe more rigorous content or the next part of our planned instruction? Or is this something where we need to completely revisit the content again because our kids totally didn't get, certain questions or all of the questions? So as we think about student accountability and we think about student comprehension, that's going to come up a lot. So I want to keep that kind of in the forefront here for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bounce out to EdPuzzle and show everybody what this platform looks like. Where it says EdPuzzle up here, it's actually hyperlinked for us. So as you're navigating through the slide deck, you can certainly, this is all hyperlinked and hot for everybody. So you can click on this as we go along as well, or you can do this after we jump off today. But I'm just going to show you a couple of quick things on EdPuzzle before we move on. So this is the home page of EdPuzzle, edpuzzle.com. If you already have an account, that's great. Feel free to log in the top right-hand corner. If not, you want to hit sign up. You're obviously a teacher, so it's going to ask you under the sign up to choose that you're a teacher and put in some logistical information. Honestly, try to connect this to your G Suite account as you can for Google, because everything, as you start to migrate Google Classroom into here, will just become so much more easier and so much more robust in terms of the functionalities here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in and just show you a couple of things real quick. So I'm going to sign in with Google. I'm going to choose my account here. And once I'm in, you're going to see a bunch of stuff. You're going to see content that's been generated through your specific school at this point, and then you're also going to find those popular channels. So the content through your school, if you have any content that's been developed by you or by other teachers within your school that have named that school as their home school, you'll be able to actually navigate through those videos and the questions that have already been populated for you. But you can also choose different channels such as EdPuzzle. Again, you can search EdPuzzle, you can search YouTube, Khan Academy, TED Talks, et cetera, and choose specific video content that you actually want to take and then create some questions around as part of your instruction. So for me, I think the biggest pieces here are the content, gradebook, and my classes. So the content is obviously the page that we're on now. Your gradebook is going to actually navigate you through to your actual class. So right now I have a test class set up. I don't have anybody in here, but as you start to invite kids, they're going to populate within your gradebook here, and you'll be able to see what their status is. Did they start the video? How many times did they watch the video? How long did it take them to watch the video? How many questions they answered? What did they get right? What did they get wrong? And any other questions like the open-ended questions that are more subjective that you would have to go in and actually assign a grade to. So all of that will pop up here for you. The My Classes piece is actually really important. This is where you can start to add new classes here. So for me, I created a test class, but if I wanted to add a new class, I could do that. So I'm going to add my Google Classroom if I wanted to, or I can create a new class. So when I create a new class, I want to enter the name, the description, and then I can go ahead and it would prompt me to create the class. If I wanted to import from Google Classroom, there is a really easy way to do that. Under Add New Class, you would actually just click on Google Classroom, and then it would ask you to import whatever classes you already had set up in Google Classroom, and all of your kids would migrate over here. So I want to just give you a quick snapshot of what this looks like. I just pulled up an assignment. It's 4 minutes on solving equations. So when I pull this up and actually take a look at the video, you're going to see down below that I can start watching it, but these little teardrops that are here, the video will actually stop at each one of those teardrops and actually ask a specific question. On the right-hand side, you'll see a to-do list that tells you, okay, what type of question is it? Is it a multiple choice question or an open-ended question? The kids can actually rewind and watch that segment of the video prior to that little teardrop as many times as they want to actually help them answer that particular question. The other thing you can do too is actually download the extension. So if you're in Google Chrome, which I would actually recommend you be in Google Chrome, you can actually download the extension for Google Chrome that will actually allow you to search on YouTube, any video you want on YouTube. Once you're on it, you're going to see this bar pop up at the bottom of your video. So it's obviously going to tell you what the title of the video is, the likes, the dislikes, if you want to share it. But if you have that extension enabled through the Chrome store, you can actually edit with EdPuzzle, which is really cool. So it will actually bump out for you if you click on that Edit with EdPuzzle button to the EdPuzzle editor. And you can start to crop your video as you need and start to embed some of your questions as needed. If you're interested in downloading that extension, where this bar is at the bottom of our screen, the bottom of the slide in the red outline, if you click on that, it will actually bump you out to the Google Chrome store, and you should be able to download that particular extension. Mine says remove from Chrome because I already have it embedded on my Chrome browser. We talked about importing from Google Classroom. These are just a couple of snapshots that I took, or screenshots around importing from Google Classroom. And a couple of the really awesome features on EdPuzzle, and I'll move on to some of the video recording features that we have. Under class options, when you're looking at your classes, you can actually rename your class, add a description. You'll also get this new class code. So this class code that will be here is what you're going to want to share with your kiddos. You can also generate a new class code as well if for some reason kids in a different class received that class code and you want to reset it. You also have the opportunity, once your kids have entered into your class, you can actually lock the classroom, which is a completely new feature. I didn't have this when I was in the classroom, and I wish that I did, because I wouldn't have to go through and change my class code X number of times throughout the school year to make sure that kids weren't joining in. But what's really awesome about the EdPuzzle features is the cut, voiceover, and questions feature. So I did mention that we could pull any video that we wanted to from YouTube, from actually EdPuzzle, from TED Talks, National Geographic, Khan Academy, etc. And we can actually cut down, if we wanted to, trim down the content within the video. So that's using the cut feature when you're on the edit mode. We can also work on voiceover. So if we really didn't find that something was really interesting, or we were missing some content within the actual video, you can actually record a voiceover during the video to let your kids know to make sure to take a look at this one particular feature, or even jump out to a different resource that you're providing so they can reference that, et cetera, et cetera. I used to do that all the time. I found that some of the Khan Academy videos that I uploaded for my kids had really great content, but I wanted the kids to focus on something more specific, but also have that video to fall back on to help them answer the question. So I would often do voiceovers to let my kids know that I wanted them to look at another specific resource that I was offering to them. And then the last feature here is that questions feature. So embedding multiple choice questions, open-ended questions, and then of course that voiceover recording note as well. So the Screencast-O-Matic is one of two screencasting features that we can actually use, or screencasting experiences that we can use as we navigate through transitioning from a face-to-face to an online format. What you can do in Screencast-O-Matic is actually record on the free version a max time of up to 15 minutes. And what you can do after that is actually save it and upload it to YouTube. So if you wanted to, you can take that video that you created, casting on your screen, and you can upload it to YouTube and then upload that to EdPuzzle so you can add questions like open-ended or multiple choice questions. So I'm not going to take a lot of time, but I did want to just show you that you could actually come to this YouTube video around Screencast-O-Matic, and it will give you some really interesting tips and tricks as you start to navigate through that. If you're interested in downloading the Chrome extension, which you would need in order to use Screencast-O-Matic in Chrome, you can click on this little icon in the top right-hand corner, and it will take you out to the Chrome store, similarly to EdPuzzle, and you would just download that to your Chrome browser and be able to use Screencast-O-Matic as needed. Screencast-ify is the last tool that I want to just mention to everybody that's here. It is, again, another extension for your Chrome browser. So in the top right-hand corner where you see the little arrow with that camera, if you click on that, it should take you out to the Chrome store, and you can download that particular extension or add that extension to your Chrome browser to enhance your Chrome browser and use this screencasting feature. You can do one of three things in here. You can take a look at just recording your browser tab. You can record your entire desktop screen, or you can record just your webcam only. You also have the opportunity to include microphone access, and you can also embed your webcam as well as you record. There is a free version of this. It will be free forever, so there's no cost to you, no cost to the district. But instead of 15 minutes like Screencast-O-Matic, you're only able to record up to 5 minutes per video with the following different features that are included in the free version. Now, one thing I like about Screencast-ify versus Screencast-O-Matic is Screencast-ify, once you download or add that extension to your browser and you link your Chrome account or your G Suite account to the Screencast-ify extension, it will actually populate in your main Google Drive folder a Screencast-ify folder, which is where all of your archived recordings will go after you go through and record everything. So it makes it really seamless. It's a nice transition and talks really nicely to Google Drive compared to the free version of Screencast-O-Matic, which won't end up on Google Drive. So I would actually, if I had to pick and choose, I would recommend Screencast-ify. Now, the one downfall is that it's only 5 minutes per video for the free version versus 15 minutes for Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic, again, you can still upload and share on YouTube or download as an MP4. At this point, I think we are running up against time. These were supposed to be about 20 to 25 minute webinars for folks. So I know I kind of just gave everybody a little bit of baptism by fire there in terms of those three particular tools. But if you are interested in scheduling some other time to work through any other topics, any other scheduled webinars, you can certainly move to LearnOn.iu12.org, which is our main moving to online instruction page. And on that main page, just like you found this particular webinar to schedule for, you can also schedule for multiple other webinars as well. And I gotta say, kudos to our team because we've put together some really awesome webinars for folks for this week and into next week as well as you transition. So again, we're here to support you. Please feel free to make sure that you visit that learnon.iu12.org site. And again, I will be available if there are Q&As following this and you want to talk a little bit more specifically about certain tools that I presented. I'd be more than happy to jump into my Zoom room for a couple of minutes just to answer some of those questions that you might have off this larger Zoom room. So at this point, what I'm going to do is just make sure that there are no crazy questions and answers that are in here. And Nicole, for some reason, I can't click on that Q&A, so I'm not sure if you have access to that Q&A.
Not a problem. I'm
piece.
actually kind of
I can try to
answering
pull it up
them.
after I stop sharing my screen, but
I'm kind of answering them as you go, if you can hear me.
But again, Nicole did throw into the chat, if you are interested in joining me afterwards, she did put a join Charlie after in that paiu.zoom.us/my Zoom room ID. And we can certainly jump on together. So I'm going to just really quickly see if there are some Q&As. I think Nicole's getting them. So I'm going to go to this last slide for everybody to keep things short and sweet. Wanted to just, again, thank everybody for joining us today. I know, again, that was kind of baptism by fire, but I'm so happy that you were able to join us today to learn a little bit more about some of the different ways that we can migrate and be purposeful about our migration as we move from face-to-face to online instruction during this unprecedented time. So at this point, I'm going to just let everybody know that there is a evaluation here for everybody. There's actually two. At the top of the screen, you're going to see bit.ly/LearnOn That's going to be one of the evaluations that we're going to ask you to fill out as a group, or I'm sorry, as an individual for this group, so you can evaluate this particular webinar. And then there's also another bit.ly at the bottom. It's bit.ly/LIU LearnOn Act 48. And again, you will be redirected once you sign off to the Act 48 form at the conclusion of this particular webinar. And Nicole was so kind enough to throw those two forms in the chat. So if you're interested in grabbing those, feel free to go ahead and grab them. And again, I'm going to join my Zoom room once I log off here. I'll just let everybody kind of grab some of those links for the next minute or two. And then I will go ahead and join my personal Zoom room if you're interested in chatting off of this larger Zoom room, so we can get the Zoom room opened for a couple other folks that have some webinars this afternoon. So again, I thank everybody. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I really appreciate your dedication and your hard work to your kids, to your school, to your profession. And please just make sure that you're staying safe, stay healthy, and stay sane. That's kind of what we're saying, those three things in our house right now. So thanks so much, everybody. I'll jump off in about a minute or two and jump into my Zoom room.